Hi, I'm going to show you how to create a Kondo to Notion sync. So the first thing you're going to do is create a new Notion document and select empty database. And you're going to name it Kondo and create a test column. So once you have a column, you can go up to share and copy link. And now we're going to go to the URL app.trykondo.com/webhooks. And in here, you will name this webhook Notion. You'll paste your URL, and you'll get this dialog, and you can click here. It will ask you to select the Kondo page to give grant access right here. And then you can test and save. So by default, you'll notice that this sync has a general update selected. The general update will fire rows to your Notion table whenever there are changes made. So if you get new messages, if you send new messages, if you change a label, if anything changes in the app, it will update the Notion table. If you don't want this to happen, just uncheck it. Then you will save. And now Notion will only get events from Kondo whenever you manually sync things. So for example, if I go back to my Notion table, now I'll see some rows that have appeared. These were recent changes that happened to my messages that fired under the general update. Now if I get rid of these rows and I come back to Kondo, I'm going to go to my customer tab and I'm going to select a bunch of these and hit sync. I'm going to pick Notion, I'm going to sync, and now you will see that these 4 people have come back. I can select more of them. I selected a whole bunch, hit sync, Notion, and I should get more rows. So you have 2 modes of sync. One, either you leave the general update on and this will update all the time, or you can select when you're going to sync a row. Now let's look into this table a bit. So you have all the data that Kondo has, right? You have contact LinkedIn handle, and you have a link. You can use this to go back to their LinkedIn. You also have a Kondo link over here that you can open a specific person, so it opens that person's conversation back in Kondo. And then you have labels. So how the labels fields work is that there's one field for all the labels that are associated with this conversation. And for every label that you see here, there'll also be a date field. So you can see I have a field here called label_customer added at. That is the time at which this conversation got the customer label. Some of them might be missing, and that's because we only track this once when you start using the webhook. So we won't have it for older conversations that you labeled, say, a month ago. And then I also have this webhook label, so you see there's also a column for label_webhook added. A common way to use this table is to filter it down. So I can make a view of this table and I can say customers, and I can filter for label contains customer. And I can also obviously use the Notion properties to hide a bunch of stuff, right? And so I can only see my customers, for example. You will also see, if you open a page, that there's a field called conversation_latest content. This gives you the latest message in this conversation. And there is also another field called conversation history, which we will now see how we can get. So if we open the conversation with Daniel in Kondo, you'll see that the latest message was awesome, check it out, and that's reflected here. But I also said other things to Daniel before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this zap while I'm in this chat to sync conversation history to Notion. And this way, if you look at Notion now, Daniel has an extra field called conversation history, and this prints the entire history of the conversation in here, not just the latest one. You can only get this data when you are in a conversation, not when you're in the list. A good rule of thumb here is if you can see it here, you can sync it. So I can see all these latest conversations, I can select all of them, and I can sync them. But if I want to see the conversation history like that, I will have to go into individual conversation, and only when I see it can I sync it. So that wraps up the Notion sync. Hope this helps. You know where to find me if you have questions. And this webhook also works with Google Sheets, Zapier, your other tools. We'll make videos for the rest.